Hello everyone, welcome to the Ranting Shop with me, Melissa. Today we're going to be talking about Ready to Love Season 9, Episode 4. And this particular episode, there was a lot going on. A lot of the same things, but a lot going on. So first, we're going to talk about Justin. He's a new guy. He came in while the women were having their first women's lounge. And I think he looks okay. The clips of his Instagram pictures looks better than how he actually looks. But he does look cute. Rashina likes him. Now we have Lamar. Lamar and his sexual talk, it's getting very old. When he said that the first time he saw Maya, he wanted to kiss her. It reminds me of this TikTok that said when a man likes you, his first intimidated by you and thus would not even attempt to want to do that phallus, say it to the person that you wanted to do it. So clearly there's no intimidation with Lamar. And to me, it proves that Lamar is only here to find a freaky one-night stand. He doesn't want anything really substantial. He refuses to go past sex. Like, if it's not revolving around sex, I don't think he wants to talk about it. So why is he here? He said he mentioned being a different breed when Koshia was talking to him later on in the episode, because he was the one that a lot of women were not really vibing with. And something somebody said really made sense to me. They said that he's wrapped up in his own conversation with him and himself. Like, so whatever you're asking him, he's not answering. And that happened on two instances. I think one instance, April wanted to dig deeper and he was like, no. And he got really defensive and disrespectful. And in this episode, I believe it was Maya that was simply asking him a question, essentially telling him, like, do you, like, what are your team things or whatever the question was. And he was like literally ignoring her, purposely ignoring her. And I just feel like that is a huge sign of disrespect. And I feel like last episode, somebody, I think it was William, was like, oh, April wants to be the center. I can't do that. Lamar wants to be in the center. He wants to be in the center. So I find it was very, like, it's just very ironic that it went to April when actually April and Lamar seem to have a lot of similarities. Now, I'm not going in order. So when Koshia was chosen to do the elimination date with Lamar, she's like trying to be nice. Like, you could tell that she's making an effort to lower her voice and come calmly. And he tells her to change her voice. So disrespectful. So you know what she does? She gets up and she walks away. And that's one thing I appreciate about Koshia. She gets up and she walks away. And I feel like she does that because she's actually quite soft and emotional and sensitive. And I think her tolerance level for people disrespecting her is quite low. So I cannot say I dislike her approach, but what I will say is I wish she was just calmer and more in control of her emotions. But I see people being really angry at Koshia. Oh, she's this and she's unhinged and she's this and something is wrong with her and that and this and that. Maybe so, but something is wrong with all of us. I don't think anybody in this world is a perfect human being. I think that Earth is a learning plane. We came here to learn. We came here to be tested and to grow. And I don't want to be harsh on Koshia because I understand how she is and why she's like that. She's simply very soft and sensitive, and that is her defense mechanism. It comes across as extremely aggressive, but it is only in an attempt to protect herself. Maybe she does have trauma. Who doesn't have trauma? Maybe she does need to work through the trauma, but I don't think anything she's done has been so terrible, you know. So I was saying that I hope that this guy Lamar can see above his huge ego, his huge disgusting ego. Let me just say, I'm so happy they got rid of this guy. I'm so sick of him. Like, I couldn't stand one more episode with this condescending little bitty leg guy. Like, on the group date where I think it was him and Alexis and some other woman, Rashina, I saw his legs and I was like, ew, why are they so skinny? But anyways, let's move on. Now, they break apart, of course, on that group date. And I was saying, I thought Rashina was open to Lama and his sex talk, but the open relationship thing deeply offended her. And I was like, oh, that's where you draw the line. But you're comfortable being like, oh, I like my sex nasty and whatever. Granted, okay, that's fair. You could be open sexually, but not be open to open relationships. But she was one of the ones that were visibly interested in Lamar. So I thought she was open to his sex talk, but I guess that was the straw that broke the camel's back, child. And the funniest part was she was sitting in between Lamar and Will is asking her, oh, who are you gonna choose? And she's like, I'm not choosing none of y'all. And I really feel as if Rashina is not interested in any of these guys. She really isn't. And it's actually changed the way I viewed her, because initially I felt like she was just somebody that was like a pick-me that should adapt and, you know, fit her answers and herself to whoever she's talking with, because, you know. But now on this particular episode, it's clear that she does have her interests and she does have people that she's not that interested in, and she's not afraid. It could very well be the fact that the women are in power this episode. It made her feel more comfortable being vocal, and that's another dynamic that kind of taints the authenticity of the show and the people's genuine feelings and reactions about different people. Because like, if the men are in power, obviously the women have to nice up to the men, smile at their offensive jokes and be nice and calm and sweet to get to stay, you know. So it also happens with the women. Like, when the women have to be in power, the men are gonna be on their best behavior. So it's almost like that aspect of the show removes people's genuine actions when it comes to certain things. The only person I see who doesn't care and is genuine, through whether it be the men in power or the women, it's Koshia. One thing I admire about her is she never tries to be sweet in an attempt to be picked. If you offend her, she's gonna tell you you offended her, and she's going to react accordingly, you know. And it's something that you can't really be upset about Koshia about. The rest of the women are quite good at adapting. When it comes to self-preservation, they know how to calm down and fall back and laugh and grin, you know, and do all that. So let's go to William. William is chatting with Alexis. He mentioned marrying for the wrong reasons. Now, a lot of people are not honest as to their history and as to their mistakes. Everybody wants to make other people feel as if they're perfect. Nothing they did was wrong. It was the person's fault. It was never me. So I'm happy he grew to realize that he married for the wrong reasons. And hopefully with that knowledge, he will move more intently going forward so that it doesn't end in a third divorce or a fourth divorce. So that was great. And I know when it comes to comedians, the thing is, oh, William, I'm happy he's more serious. But I've never seen William be jokey with anybody. Like, William will smile. He will, if you flirt, he'll flirt back. But I've never seen him be the butt of every joke or the sayer of every joke and the laughing person and the very, you know, openly comedic type of. I've never seen that. All the comedians that have ever been on this show, they've not been funny, because comedy is not something that is really a personality. It's a craft. so to speak, and a lot of people feel like comedy is one's personality. So because I'm funny for my living, people expect me to also be funny in my everyday life. If you look at people like Cat Williams and even, what's that guy's name, other comedians, when they do interviews, they're serious. They're not joking and giggling, so that just, to me, I just feel as if with Ready to Love, they try to fit the same characters that they had in previous seasons. So there's always the mean girl, the loud girl, the ghetto girl, the player boy, the lover boy, the this boy, the unserious boy. There's always a comedian. And when there's a comedian, the narrative is always, oh, he's been more serious now. And I really don't think that is actually what it is. I just feel like that's what the producers tell them to say. Because you can't convince me that William has been jokey. Like, he's always been quite serious. If anything, he's been very open and very nice. He's a little unstable, but he's not been horrible or jokey. Okay, so I recall Alexis talking about liking to give people second chances and giving people grace and everything like that. And that's gonna play a lot into my formation of who I think Alexis is later on in the episode. But let's talk more about Lamar. Lamar says, because I think it was Alexis that asked him some question about sex, and he goes, no, it was about intimacy. Now, we all know as grown adults, intimacy is a lot of things. Intimacy is simply showing somebody you care in a way or manner that is maybe within their love language or your love language. It's just a matter of showing that you care with that, to the care about that person, and how you go about showing them that you care. It really doesn't have anything to do with sex. It has more to do with connecting with your partner, and of course, Lamar, Mr. No Depth, Mr. No other conversation other than sex, that's automatically what he went to. He basically, everything he said was centered around sex. Even calling your partner and telling her what color bra you have on. Like, pause. Y'all live in the same house and you don't know what color bra she wore to go to work? Come on, Lamar is so disgusting, and he's making himself seem very shallow. Now, Maya and Lamar talk, and she's doing her photo shoot and everything, and for some reason the conversation with Lamar goes to, what's your freakiest thing you did in high school? Huh? And I think Maya was instantly not interested, because it's like, I want to know you, but all you're doing is asking me about sex? Yeah, she was like, you are unserious. Now, Jonathan omitted to April and Mika that he had a wife. I think he told people, especially in the second episode when they were meeting and, talking to each other, but he didn't tell Mika and April this. And I feel like he thought it would be worse to tell them that that's his ex-wife, because I think the perception of a baby mama is unserious. But one's perception of an ex-wife, it has a certain level of respect attached to it, and also a certain level of attachment to that individual. So I think he felt like by not saying anything, he would be protecting a possible connection with, not protecting it, but more so opening the door for a better connection with the women. But the thing about it is, the way he thinks is so weird, and it's so off on a lot of in a lot of ways. This show is for you to be transparent, right? Be open, be transparent, be real, be authentic, be genuine, be open. These women are trying to get to know you for who you are, right? Your past influences your present. You at some point married a woman. Why not make that known? And I was listening to Misha, and she was essentially saying, well, he didn't tell her, but it's not like he lied. He just didn't tell her because she didn't ask. And I had a problem with that, because I feel like a woman shouldn't have to ask that. Like, if you were married, that's something you should be willing to openly share with people. Look at how she just assumed that it was a baby mama, ex-girlfriend or something like that, because he never once decided to correct her and say, no, it wasn't my baby mama, we were married. I mean, why not clear that up? All of it was intentional, and I think that's something Misha missed. Him not clarifying that she was his wife, but went along with the baby mama narrative. It was intentional. Because I feel like he has his own perceptions of how people will perceive him having an ex-wife. So he decided to just go along with the common thing, which is having a baby mama, and maybe she would not take it that seriously, which is weird to me. I don't understand it. But yeah, she was like, he kept that information from me, and he did keep it from her. Because if you were married, you say you were married. You say you had an ex-wife. I shouldn't have to ask you that question for you to be forthcoming and upright forthcoming and and straight with me. Also, men that do what Jonathan does is such a red flag. Like, they're the type of men that have baggage, but they don't say anything. Let me change that. These are the men that have deep secrets, like secrets that could affect the current pursuer, right? The current pursuant. And they refuse not to share that because they know that would make the person decide to not want to date them anymore. I think that is a form of manipulation. If there is something in your past, right, that is gonna affect your partner, I think you should let your partner know before making them fall in love with you, and then now they're stuck with someone that they don't even know because the person hid that secret from them. You may also put that on the person while dating. It was your initiative, it was your job to get as much information from that person as possible. But at the end of the day, people just don't always say their complete truth. Sometimes people will say things that sound nice and omit the things that don't sound nice, or they say everything but they say it in a way to absolve themselves of any wrongdoing. And men like that, Jonathan is a big red flag in my opinion. Like, he's being too sketchy. Now, Laron likes Maya. Remember before it was all about Koshia. Well, he hadn't met Maya yet. So he meets Maya. All of a sudden, Maya is the one. Maya is beautiful. Maya is who he wants. Koshia who? Koshia what? It's now all about Maya. He even fake proposed based on Maya's body language, and this doesn't even have to do with just this date. I also saw it last episode. She does not, the way she puts her body language is weird. Like, her body isn't ever facing the men that she's talking to. She's looking straight. Her body is straight, and she may move her head, but her body is not connected to who she's talking to. Like, she separates herself from who she's speaking with. This may very well be a tactic to prevent intimacy too early. I don't know, not intimacy as in sex, but it's a barrier for connection. So maybe she's doing that to prevent herself from connecting and falling for these men too quickly. Because when she spoke to William, I was unconvinced that she was interested in William. I just feel like she was just saying things. When she spoke with Laron, this particular episode, I'm not ever getting the vibe that she's interested in Laron at all. Laron is interested in her though, but would I think that she'd ever choose him? No. But this is a show and some people want to stay on the show as long as possible, so she might just say that just to stay on the show. But I don't see her being interested in anyone yet. Okay, let's go into Laylin. Laylin leaves the process because she said that she had a family emergency. Instead of, what's his name, Tommy, try to tell her, okay, do what's best. I feel like he's more invested in the show than he is with the contestants. And I don't know, that just doesn't seem like a good way to be with your contestants. I mean, they make the show after all. Now, Patrice liking Alonso, I said it was just very interesting to me because I don't quite see it. They just look like two unserious people. So I guess they mesh because both of them can connect to the fact that they're both unserious. But other than that, bear in mind, Alonso did apologize to Koshia, but it brought out a lot of behavior from Alonso that is very alarming, like the fact that he gaslights people. Like, let's be serious. Or if you think that the person doesn't believe a particular point, I mean, make it so that they can understand your point instead of just telling them, oh, that's not what it is, and then leaving it at that, Anyway, Lexi. Let's talk about the big kaboom at the lounge while they were picking them in. So it turns out that Lexi was gossiping with Will and telling Will all the women's business from the women's lounge. Now you notice this episode Tommy was saying, he says it after every lounge. He says what happens here stays here. It's a safe place. But I guess not, because Lexi was running to Will and telling him all the tea about what the women thought about him, which I feel like is unfair for her to do. I don't feel like it's her place. Will might very well be her number one, and that's her way of informing him of things so he changes, so he can stay longer for her. But I also feel as if it's unfair to the women. If this is supposed to be a safe place, but the women cannot fully be open and honest without what they say going to the men. I just feel like she created a very unsafe environment. And if it was me, from then on, when Tommy asked me, okay, what about this guy or that guy, I'd just simply say, I'm just not interested and leave it like that. Or I'm really interested and leave it like that. Not add any more information. Because I don't want anything going back to the men and the men feeling and treating me a particular way as a result. To me, that's so unfair. Now, what that really annoyed me, because watching the clips of this particular part of that episode, I was ready to take up for Alexis. But then watching the actual episode, I'm on Koshia and Mika's side because Alexis is 100% wrong. You don't take what the women say, add 10 on 20, and then go back and tell the men. If you're not gonna regurgitate exactly what the women said, don't say anything. Because now what you're doing is presenting a false narrative to a man about certain women, and who knows how that would affect these women on the next episode, considering the men have to vote. So I absolutely hated what she did, and I never thought she'd be that messy. And she's very much male identified. She's very much a pick me, because I don't know which woman that would listen to another woman's experience and say, oh, Koshia, she always has a problem with every man. I never experienced that with him. I never had that experience with him. and almost alluding to the fact that Koshia gives off a sexual vibe, which is why the men come to her inappropriately. But she doesn't give that off, so the men don't approach her that way. Women that are just naturally bodacious and curvaceous, they have to fight every day with the sexual attention that they get from men. And may I add, it's unwanted sexual attention. These are not things that the women necessarily encourage. It's just men see a curvy body and they think sex. I don't think that necessarily has anything to do with her encouraging that kind of talk, but more so the men seeing her and her curves and associating it with sex. And so trying to test her to see if, I guess, she's willing to provide the sex that these men imagine with curvy bodied women. There's also an implication that these curvy women, tend to be more promiscuous, which I think also adds to the fact that the men come at them differently than they come at women that are built in a less curvaceous manner. I've never seen Koshia just be mad at somebody for no reason. I've never seen her go off on anyone for no reason. Everything Koshia has done has been as a result of someone crossing a boundary that she didn't want to be crossed. The way Koshia handled it, it's giving very much Tequila. Because Tequila was just unable to just keep it nice and keep it classy and say what you have to say, but say it in a way that doesn't make you seem like a hothead, right? But that's just not Koshia's personality. So she decided, no, you're not gonna play me for an idiot. And then Mika chimes in, and Mika is like, you used the word pervert. We never said Will was a pervert. And these are dangerous things. You don't put words in people's mouths. If they didn't call him a pervert, why are you calling him a pervert and making it seem like it came from them when really it came from your perception of what they said? That's a very dangerous thing to do, and I don't like that. And Koshia got really upset, and she was like, oh, if I hit her, and like, hitting people is never the answer. And she was just very frustrated, and she had to get up and leave because she was gonna break down. So she leaves, she cries. I think it was more so a cry of anger as opposed to anything else. Like, what I've noticed about Koshia is that she doesn't like to be taken for an idiot, and she doesn't like to be taken for a fool. She also doesn't like to be perceived as problematic in a sense, just for problematic sake. All I can say is all of Koshia's outbursts have been justified. They may not be how you would react, but they've been justified. She's been provoked, okay, to react how she's been reacting. Also, I don't feel like people's business should be leaked to the men. Look now, she leaks it to Will, and she makes it clear that, oh, they feel that way, but I don't feel that way. Like, almost to exclude herself from the fire, because it seems like he's really pissed off and he's gonna come for Patrice, because Patrice mentions something about him laying on the floor, and Patrice is like, I'm not gonna lay on any floor with any dude. And Alexis, goes back and tells Will, and Will probably knows it came from Alexis, and it's about to be some drama, knowing that next episode the men are going to be the ones voting. I just don't like how or the manner in which Alexis is going about things. I think she's doing it because Will is her interest and she doesn't want to be him to be voted out, but also I just, that was a no-no for me. An absolute no-no for me. When Alexis kept on saying, oh, he didn't do those things with me, it was very triggering for me, because it's like a conversation I had with a friend one time, and I'm like, don't hang around this guy. This particular guy has done A, B, and C to women. He's not a good person. And she went right ahead and decided to hang out with him anyways. And her response was, oh, well, he didn't try anything with me. Oh, he didn't do this with me. And I was like, are you stupid? You made him aware that I told you that he's not a great person. You think he's gonna show his ass to you, knowing that you know what I told you about him? Like, some women really need to use their common sense. And another thing about it is, despite how the guy treats you, he doesn't treat other women that way. And I think it's a disservice to other women to kind of say that essentially they're lying because he didn't do that with me. I just feel like it's a dangerous thing to do, and it's very dismissive. And I think there's a lot of big negative consequences that can be emitted from women doing this thing of, oh, well, he didn't do that with me, and because he didn't do that with you, as if to say that this person doesn't do that with other people. But anyways, let me know in the comment section. Like, subscribe, and see you guys next time. Bye.